Hello, and welcome to the Core Growth Podcast, where I talk about learning, growing mindset, perspective, open mindedness, being more mindful, being more aware, and pretty much just enjoying life. I'm your host, Aaron, and today, for the very, very, very first episode, I will just be giving an introduction to the podcast and also introduce myself if you aren't familiar with me personally. I'll talk about my hobbies and interests. And in terms of talking about the podcast, I'll talk about what kind of plans I have in the future. I'll talk about my intentions and why I'm starting this podcast, and also what I hope to get out of this experience. All right, without further ado, some introductions. All right, so my name is Aaron Jonah Ballighot. I am 20 years old, or 20 years young for those who do that. I don't really do that. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. But yeah, I'm 20 years old. I am Filipino. I'm of Filipino descent. My parents are both from the Philippines. And I was born in Australia, born in Sydney. And I have an older brother. Who is calling me right now, actually. Damn, my bad. All right, but yeah, I have an older brother. He is 7 to 8 years older than me. And yeah, growing up was fun. I personally didn't really get the Asian household treatment, the Asian parenting. Thank goodness, right? Asian parenting can be pretty brutal. Yeah, my parents was kind of gave us the Western parenting style. More so my mom than my dad. My dad is still very, very Asian at heart. But it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. Okay, so about time that I talk about interests and hobbies. First and foremost, music. Music has just been a huge part of my life, growing up and even now, really. I know how to play a couple instruments, and whether I can play them good or not is relative, really. Personally, I say I'm pretty average, except for drums. I'm terrible at drums. I love playing the drums, but I'm terrible. I played drums. I took drum lessons in high school. I think it was when I was in year 8, definitely. I think all the way through to year 10. I was taking drum lessons. So year 8, year 9, year 10, drum lessons. I think year 11, I only took piano lessons. And moving on to the next instrument, piano. I learned piano. I started learning piano, I think, when I was around 6 or 7. I wouldn't say I'm great at piano. I do enjoy the music theory side of things, mainly because I started off music theory when I was learning piano, so at the time it was really fun. I still quite enjoy it these days, but it's not really like I'm going to be looking at music theory just out of the blue for no apparent reason. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I started piano lessons around 2008 or 9. I believe it would have been like maybe late 2008. And that time I would have been 7. But yeah, I think I went to a music institute in Bankstown, very close to the station. I'm not sure if they're still there. I believe it's called like the Bankstown Music Academy or something. Um, and yeah, I was there for a couple years in primary school. I believe when I was in year 6, I would have stopped. And then in year 8, I started taking piano lessons in school. Same with the drum lessons. And then I took guitar lessons as well. Only for like about a year though. Um, it was great, great experience. Um, yeah, so I know. I mean, I can say you could say no and like mean very different things or different levels to it, I guess. But when I say know how to play drums or know how to play guitar or know how to play piano, I mean like the very, very basics, I'd say. Piano, I only do well just because I have a lot of theory on that. But yeah, in terms of the other two, I'd say I'm pretty decent with guitar. I'm very, very far below average with drums. I'm just terrible with timing. But in due time, I pray I get better. One can only hope, I guess. Um, but yeah, music, huge part of my life. Um, I believe it has to do a lot with the kind of music I was growing up with. And when I was growing up, I was just surrounded with a lot of different kinds of music, just a lot. I remember my dad would play a lot of like Filipino folk music at the time, um, where it's a lot of like nylon string guitar, like classical style music. And yeah, Filipinos just took that on another level with their folk music, and it's pretty cool, pretty nice. My dad also used to listen a lot to the Bee Gees, to ABBA, to America. There was a band called America. I believe they're from the United Kingdom though. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I don't remember my dad listening too much of the Beatles. I do know that he was very familiar with their music though. And for my mom, she actually introduced a lot of uh, different kinds of music compared to my dad. She would be listening to a lot of musicals, Wicked, Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon, um, Les Miserables. Oh man, the the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I forget the full name for that. Um, what is it called? Oops, that's not what it's called. All right, let's see. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Yeah, now this one hit different. But yeah, so yeah, my mom was listening to a lot of musicals, and also I believe she had CDs of a lot of these. I don't remember if she had a CD for Wicked, but I do know she listened to that a lot growing up. Um, there were there were other stuff my mom used to listen to as well that she had CDs of. I believe it was this Christian pianist. He was like a pianist and a singer. I can't remember the name. I really can't. But I do remember my mom had like maybe two or three of his CDs, and it would be just a lot of Christian songs. And I remember listening to that a lot. I listened to it a lot. And yeah, that was cool. I really appreciated that from both my parents. My brother, on the other hand, he had a very, very interesting taste on music at the time, right, of when I was growing up. So it was a lot of Panic at the Disco, but that was like back then, like early 2000s. Um, there was that. Uh, there was a lot of Coldplay, Coldplay, timeless group. Um, there was a decent amount of The Script, um, Second Hand Serenade, Simple Plan. Um, I believe there was a group called Three Doors. Three Doors. Um, there was an interesting song. Oh, Three Doors Down. So Three Doors Down. Yep. So Three Doors Down. Trains, I believe, was another one. Um, yeah, I forget. There was another song from Trains. So there was Drops of Jupiter. Um, and there was something else. There was. My brother also listened to a lot of John Mayer. Yeah, he was great. Stop this train. Oh man, makes me cry sometimes. But let's not get too into it. um, my brother would also listen to a lot of oh dear, what was it called? J-pop. Dear Lord, blanked for a second. So yeah, there was a lot of J-pop, a lot of J-rock. Just because at the time my brother was watching some anime, not too much, so he wasn't like heavily in that realm yet, at least. But yeah, so my brother was listening to that, uh, or all of those different ones. Oh, he also used to listen to some like Linkin Park. Yeah, good old Linkin Park. They got some classics. Yeah, other than that, I don't remember too much else of what my parents or my brother would have been listening to at the time of me growing up. But yeah, so I grew up with all these different kinds of genres, and I don't think I disliked any of them. So I was, from that upbringing, I was kind of pretty open to a lot of different kinds of music. Um, but yeah, definitely didn't grow up listening to rap. Definitely not. Um, but yeah, no, these days I'm I like rap. Not too much of it though. There's a fine balance of too much and too little rap music in life. Um, and yeah, I think I still listen to some of like what I used to listen to back then. Like J-pop still a thing for me. J-rock, yeah, absolutely. John Mayer, definitely. I still listen to some of his old stuff. I believe the album was called Continuum from that time. Yeah. Um, what else? What else was there that I still listen to from kind of back then? Phantom of the Opera. I still kind of listen to stuff from that. Not really often, but yeah, Phantom of the Opera. Because I know my mom listens to it still pretty frequently. Um, Les Mis. I still listen to that a bit. Yeah, my mom, because my mom likes it, so sometimes I just play it on the Google thingy. I think it's a Google Nest. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's that. My dad's still into. Actually, he's kind of like he's been listening to a lot of Filipino music, that's for sure, but not really the Filipino folk stuff. It's mainly just being the Filipino pop. like certain artists or certain groups or something like that. On a YouTube channel called Wish 107.5, I believe, where they just have different artists go on a bus and kind of do. They sometimes do covers of other artists' songs, or they do their own. They play their own song live in the bus. They have an amazing setup, and it's pretty cool. They can fit like a drum kit in there. They can fit so many people in that bus with all their like instruments and stuff. And it's great production. And yeah, sometimes the bus would be like going down a highway, or it'll just be parked somewhere. And yeah, that was pretty cool. Um, in terms of what I listened to recently or these days, I'm gonna have to be honest. It's definitely still a lot of J-pop, J-rock. Definitely some KSI music. I don't know if you people would have took me for an avid listener of KSI music, but he's definitely grown a lot uh, as an artist, and I appreciate that. And he's put out some bangers. I wouldn't say they're for everyone though. Um, but yeah, I've been listening to some KSI. Um, Also, the Shang-Chi music from 88 Rising. I've been listening to that a lot. So there's that. I've been, dear Lord, what else have I been listening to? I've been kind of jumping back into the lo-fi world. Not too much though. I used to listen to it a lot though throughout high school. Um, what else? There's this. I'd consider these guys an R&B group, or R&B artist, called Emotional Oranges. They're pretty cool. They're pretty lit. Um, and there's another group I've been listening to a bit as well. Some pop rock, some indie rock band. I believe they're not together anymore, but this band called New Empire. I used to listen to them a lot. Still do. There's some songs that just really stick to me from their album. Um, okay, what other artists are out there that are very much part of my life? I'd say a lot of the Filipino American artists. So artists like Jeremy Passion, Gabe Bondoc, Jesse Barrera, AJ Raphael. Um, yeah, they definitely inspired me to do a lot music wise. Um, and yeah, they're just great people. I'd say that they're great people. J.R. Aquino, he's also really cool. Great singer, very talented guy. Um, yeah, these guys, I would listen to them mainly throughout like middle of primary school or like early high school, like around that time. Because yeah, their music at the time was just like it was just so for me at the time. Um, and yeah, that was kind of the time when I was starting out to learn guitar and drums as well. So yeah, good times, great music. I believe that they're, or most of them at least, are starting families, if not already have a family. Um, and I'd say they're pretty good role models as well. They do they do very nice things and have such a pure and innocent heart when they do things and say things. Yeah, they're cool. And they still make music these days. They're family men though, so they're kind of like more into their family than into the music space, which is totally understandable. Um, but yeah, that's that's music for me in my life. I'm sure there's still like a lot that I'm like missing out. but it's probably just like not in my head right now. Maybe in the future I could like elaborate and properly prepare myself for talking about music. But for the next interest or hobby, I guess, would be one that might be very apparent. Games or gaming, huge part of my life. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer though. I'm not like hardcore or anything. Um, like honestly, I've only been like really playing like one game recently, or for the past year. Really, it's mainly just been one. And it's Genshin Impact. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. It's essentially like World of Warcraft except anime style. And that'll probably tell you already about what kind of person I am, in the positive sense, okay? But yeah. So yeah, Genshin Impact, great game. For me, it was just a mixture of a lot of different things that I enjoy, just all in one. So I enjoy anime, and that's already a factor. I enjoy music and soundtracks and listening to all kinds of stuff and being immersed in the creating the creation process. Oh dear lord, I can't English. But yeah, the creation process of these soundtracks and all the like orchestras that kind of like play it. And mind you, it was during COVID times when they were like recording their soundtrack for this game. So yeah, they went really far for it. And yeah, you could tell that there's a lot of hearts put into their soundtrack. So yeah, the the anime side of it was definitely for me. The music side of it definitely for me. I really enjoyed the story aspect of it. Yeah, they've got a really great story, and I'm a sucker for good stories. So much so that I'm actually like fully indulging into the lore of this game and the lore of like the characters and all their backstories and stuff. Um, and yeah, it's just been a great experience for me. And also there's I mean there's the hardcore side to this game, of course, where there's like the sweaty ones. Um, I'd consider myself like pretty up there in the spectrum of a sweaty nerd versus a casual player. I I'd say I am a sweaty nerd, but like in terms of the spectrum of this game, I'd say I'm like 75% of the way there. But yeah, for me it's just like being able to explore this open world and and yeah, just I just love the exploration. And like there's puzzles in the game that you can do where like if you hit things or if you find things and bring them somewhere else, like yeah, there's a lot to this game that just really suit me. And yeah, it's been a great game and still is, and I hope it continues to be a great game. um all right, next would be films and movies, the kinds of stuff that I'm into. So growing up, it was always the Disney movies. You gotta love the Disney movies. These days I haven't been as connected, but definitely Disney has made an impact on my life. At least the animated Disney films at the time, um, and Marvel. Because growing up, Marvel would have just been starting out their MCU with Iron Man. But there was also like Spider Man, like prior, like the Tobey Maguire Spider Man. Yeah, that one stuck to me. Ha, pun intended. Nah, not really. But yeah, Spider Man was great. I was definitely a Spider Man kid, like one of those kids that just, oh man, so into it. And yeah, that was one of that was me. I was one of them. I mean, Spider-Man's really great, to be fair. And yeah, so Disney, Marvel. I mean, Marvel's part of Disney, so, or at least, was it, what were they part of Disney then? Maybe, I'm not sure. Who knows? I could probably search it up, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine if I don't search it up, right? Yeah, it'll be all right. But yeah, I really enjoy films. I really enjoy movies. TV shows. I'm kind of like, but like when it's anime, I'm like, oh yeah, I just love anime. I mean, anime is like a TV show, I guess, but yeah. More Western TV shows maybe it just isn't for me, but that's all right. Um, yeah, I just really enjoy stories. I just really enjoy getting into like the mindset of the character and like thinking how would I react to a certain situation that they're in, or something, or trying to relate to their situation or something like that. And I really enjoy that part about movies, like especially when you can relate to characters. Um, yeah, and yeah, like a lot of movies have dope, dope soundtracks, and definitely Shang-Chi is up there for them. Shang-Chi, man, because I watched it recently. And yeah, it's definitely in my top five movies that I've ever watched in my life. Maybe even top three, really. Maybe just because it's like a very heavy Asian movie, like that's part of Marvel. That maybe kind of gives it some bias. I guess so, but you know what, bias doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'd say just a lot about the movie. I could definitely relate to a lot of different aspects and a lot of different scenes, a lot of different parts of the film. Uh, and yeah, it's definitely up there for me. Um, and okay, another topic would be exercise and fitness. That's or maybe not topic. I guess hobby slash interest. So yeah, I guess another hobby of mine is to exercise. I wouldn't consider myself fit at all. Honestly, I'd consider myself fat, but it's all relative, right? Like everyone just sees each other differently. Um, but yeah, I I think I've been working out every day since my second COVID vaccination, which would have been a week. So yeah, I think I've been going a week strong. Not too shabby. All right. Awesome, actually, yeah, I've been going for a week. Oh, good stuff, man. Dude, I'm G'ing myself up so hard right now. Man, I'm sick, bro. But yeah, so exercise and fitness. I actually did a TAFE course in high school. Um, when I was in year 11 and year 12. If you're from Australia, you'd be familiar with the TVET program, where high schools would let their senior students do a portion of a TAFE course, and yeah, send them through to the institute, send them to the college on like a school day, like halfway through a school day, and then they'd go to the institution and have their classes there. And that would be considered 2 units from high school. I don't know if it's the same these days, but I remember in year 11 and year 12, or at least in year 11, you needed 12 units in year 11, and then in year 12, you would have been able to drop something and have it drop down to 10 units, which would have been like 5 subjects. So yeah, in year 11 and year 12, I did TAFE. um, or TVET. But yeah, I did TAFE, and great experience. I met a lot of great people. Um, People that I'm not in touch with these days. I really hope to be in touch with them more in the future. It's mainly just me. I'm just not all about going out too much. Um, but that was more so in the past. Uh, and let's just say I'm trying to grow out of that shell of just staying in the house and trying to be all about in my comfort zone. And yeah, trying to reach out to the homies from TAFE and see what's happening, and hopefully I can hang out with them and see how they've been doing, how their life is. Um, oh right, but I guess in terms of exercise and fitness, um, I've been actually doing a very interesting thing recently where I would fast for 40 hours. 40 to 48 hours I would fast. So that would be 2 days of not eating, pretty much. But I time it, of course, right? So I would like eat in the middle of the day so that like in 2 days time I would be eating at the exact same time. But yeah, I'm not going like too hardcore about it. I mean, it might be hardcore for some, but for me, um, not it's not too bad. Considering in high school, I would like not eat for 3 days sometimes, just because I had braces, and it would suck. Yeah, braces were a pain. I had braces for like since year from year 8 till 2020, so that's uh like 5.5 years I had braces. Like if we're going by years, it'd be 6, but like I believe I got braces towards the end of 2014, and then got them removed towards the like start of 2020. So yeah, that sucked, but you know what? It's all right. It's all right. It's fine. But yeah, it definitely kind of helped me in the future in terms of like this whole fasting process. But yeah, going back to the fasting, I would, yeah, I would eat maybe like noon or in the afternoon, um, and then my time would start from there. So after I'm done with that meal, it's on. And then the next day I wouldn't eat, and then the day after I'd have to wait till it would hit that time again, uh, before I ate something. And honestly, I don't think at this point it doesn't really matter what I eat. Because yesterday, all right, yesterday I considered it to be a cheat day for me. I mean, I still worked out nonetheless, but I had. All right, this makes me seem like a fatty, but actually I am kind of a fatty. But I had 4 Krispy Kreme donuts, 4 original glazed donuts. Oh man, I was so happy. And for that first time, like I had white rice in quite some time. It's been quite some time since I had white rice, but yeah, I had white rice and this fish nugget. My mom made some like fish nuggets that they're, oh man, they're so good. It doesn't sound appetizing, but um she got like some shredded fish or something, and kind of mushed it. Not really like made it into like mush, but like she kind of like, I wouldn't know how to explain it, but yeah, she kind of mushed it and mixed it in with some vegetables, and then mixed that with some like cornstarch or egg and stuff, and fried it. So then it was like straight up like a freaking fish nugget, like a fish veggie nugget, and I'm like, dude, this tastes great. It doesn't look great, but dude, it oh man, it was levels. I'll tell you now, it was so good. Might not be for everyone, but I have low standards when it comes to food. Not that it wasn't great, to me, like a lot of different kinds of food is great. Hence why I'm freaking huge. But you know what? It's fine though. This fasting actually helps me lose a lot of weight really quickly. And to be fair, I lost how many kilos? I lost 2 kilos within the span of 5 days. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it happened. That's for sure. And I didn't even gain weight when I freaking went on a cheat day the other day with Krispy Kreme and the white rice and the bloody fish nuggets. Um, I did not gain like I didn't gain much. If I did gain, because on the scale it said I was exactly the same as when I started out the day. It said I was exactly the same. I'm like, did I not gain any weight? And since I didn't, I am super gassed about that. But that doesn't mean that I'm allowed to like start pigging out with food. But I don't plan to pig out anyway. That's just terrible. I've pigged out enough throughout my entire life. Just growing up as a chubby kid. Oh man, dude. But yeah, so kind of in the beginning of my weight loss journey and this whole fasting thing. And definitely, oh dude, definitely with a fasting there is a huge mental game to it. There's a huge mental battle, mental struggle when it comes to this fasting gig. Trying not to eat for 40 hours, especially when you have Krispy Kremes sitting in the house, 2 dozen sitting in the house, and I go downstairs and I see those 2 boxes just sitting on the table. And the temptation is there, dude. The temptation is so freaking there. But as well as that, there's also when parents cook, dude, and you smell that, man. Sometimes it just makes me. Sometimes it just makes me wanna eat it. I didn't know how I was gonna finish that sentence, but you know what? It's fine. Um, but yeah, the mental struggle is huge. There is a huge mental struggle for that. But I guess my mentality and my mindset was to be more long term. I was kind of looking at it more long term, in thinking that I need to control myself in every way possible. Which is why I've been pushing myself with workouts like a lot more recently. Um, and also that when you train your body, you also need to train your mind. Like, there's no use in training one more than the other, or training one and not the other. Now that's just terrible. Think of it as, or think of it this way: like, say if you're a boxer, and you've got like the best physique, like you've got the best physique in boxer history, but if you don't have the mindset or even the mental capacity to be on stage and perform in that boxing ring in front of how many people, like God knows how many people, to perform in that ring where it's just you, your opponent, and the ref, but where you and your opponent are gonna go head to head. Like, if you don't have the mental capacity to deal with that, yeah, then there's no point in having the best physique in the history of boxing if you're not gonna be able to like win or do anything with it. If that makes sense, yeah. Um, so that's kind of like the mindset I've got, where I can't just be focusing on one or the other. It's got to be both. That way they'll both grow at the same time and they can both kind of work together. Like both my physical my physical side and my mental side of things. Um, and yeah, like it's been a great journey. Um, this week especially, this I guess it would be considered the second last week of October. I guess if Sunday the 31st counts as an entire week. Maybe not. If this does count as the last week, then yeah. This last week of October has been truly, truly life changing for me. Um, but yeah, in terms of like more of the mental things, like uh, thinking and potential and capacity, I'll kind of elaborate on this in the future. I do plan to do future episodes. And on that note, I'll move to the second topic of today, which is the podcast. Um, so, this podcast has been a passion project of mine, something I've thought about doing for a bit, not too long, but um, yeah, it's just been something that I've wanted to do ever since I've been starting to get out of my comfort zone. Um, because I'd consider myself to be an introvert. Like I despise like talking to people I don't know. Um, it's just always been that way, or mostly been that way, just growing up. Not as a toddler though. My parents say as a toddler I was crazy, and I believe them. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of coming out of that shell of like just being able to talk to people, to anyone really. Um, and and yeah, like it's definitely been a learning process for myself, and getting to know myself better and kind of opening up myself to other people, um, and opening up myself more to some people that maybe wouldn't have got it yet, or just a lot of different things. And yeah, so I'm doing this podcast in hopes that people benefit from it. uh, People would be able to learn from myself, and maybe my experiences and the way I see things, my perspective, and hopefully they can maybe understand, like maybe there's a situation that they're in and I talk about something that's similar, and they understand my perspective and try to apply it to their own situation. Now, I'm hoping for moments like that where the things that I say uh, can be helpful to people, and especially as like a 20-year-old, like I don't really see too many 20-year-olds doing podcasts, especially solo ones. But yeah, I definitely plan to keep this going. Um, and okay, another little side thing here. What do I hope to get out of doing this podcast? Now, honestly, I mean, of course, when you do something, you'd want to be paid for it, but my intention for doing this podcast isn't really to be paid. Um, because honestly, I am getting more out of this than people would think. Like just being able to speak for a long a long amount of time just on my own like this, and not really bouncing back with anyone else, and trying to open myself up to the world essentially. um it's definitely an experience that not too many people have the luxury of getting, and that's what I'm getting out of this. I'm getting a huge experience, and hopefully connections, because I hope to connect with people from my past, people from high school, people from primary school, and hopefully get them on as guests, or maybe try and get them involved in different shapes or forms. But yeah, I guess to shorten that, it would just be the connections with other people, and the experience that I'm getting is kind of what I hope to get out of doing this podcast. Okay, so the next note, what I have planned for the future of this podcast. So yeah, like I said, I hope to get other people on the boat of this podcast that I'm starting. Mainly just because I feel like it would be just a great experience for everyone. Just to be on board with this kind of thing. And it's a new experience for me, so I'm sure it'll be like a new experience for other people. I do have certain people in mind that I'm hoping to be a part of this. But whether they accept or deny, it's fine. It's fine. It's completely cool. But yeah, I plan to get guests on. I plan to involve other people. And I plan on expanding this whole thing just in all other areas. Like oh man, I've got a lot of different plans for this. But yeah, to conclude, I just talked about myself. I just talked about what I've or parts of me, I guess, parts of my life. And I talked about the podcast and why I'm doing the podcast, what I hope to get out of it, and what I've got planned for it in the future. Well, the podcast is about like 45-ish minutes in, or somewhere along the lines of that. So I believe it is a good time to call it quits for this first episode, the very, very, very first episode of the Core Growth Podcast. This is a podcast that's really close to my heart, honestly. And I hope that you all will be along with me for this journey that I hope to continue for a very long time. Yeah, like there's so much potential to come out of something like this. And yeah, on that note, it's gonna be the end of the very first episode. Ooh, so exciting. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope you all enjoyed. I will talk to you all later. Take care and goodbye. Hey everyone, post-edit Aaron here. I just wanted to make a quick note. At the 30-minute mark of the podcast, I do talk about my fasting experience. Now, I do want to make a quick disclaimer about it. It is something I've been doing personally, just something I've been experimenting on. This is not health advice at all. I would much rather you prefer to seek professional advice for these kinds of things, a nutritionist, a dietitian, so on and so forth. But yeah, this is just my personal experience, and you don't have to listen to it. You probably shouldn't listen to it because yeah, it's just different for everyone for fasting, and our bodies just work differently from someone else's, just based off genetics and all these different factors. So yeah, quick disclaimer, that's that. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed the first episode of the podcast. I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.